Ruthless Robbie Lawler is joining me on the guest line right now. He returns to main event action this Saturday night as part of UFC Fight Night in Winnipeg, Canada on the big Fox network, taking on number 4 ranked welterweight Rafael dos Anjos. Robbie, good to talk to you again, man. First things first, I want to ask you about the state of Robbie Lawler and how you're feeling, because, you look great against Cowboy Cerrone in your last fight, and leading up to that fight, you'd taken your time, you'd taken a little time off prior to that. You were pedal to the metal with that work rate. So I kind of want to ask you about that, on the other side of looking good in a victory over a tough opponent like Cowboy. How are you feeling, and did you feel like taking that time to rest up a little bit really benefited you at this point in your career?
Yeah, it was definitely a good resting point, but it was more like getting your life situated and keeping everything in order and knowing where you wanted to go before you got back in there. So Cowboy was a good measuring stick for where I was at that point after the long layoff, and after that it was just time to build and get better and improve on stuff.
And obviously there was a little bit of time between that fight and taking this fight against Rafael dos Anjos as well, so it didn't have to be a rush job or any kind of thing like that. Looking at dos Anjos as an opponent now, because certainly there are title implications on the line for the winner. If somebody looks at your strengths, if somebody looks at dos Anjos' strengths, obviously he's going to want to try to avoid your power. You're going to have I believe it's like a 4-inch reach advantage on him. Logic would dictate, if it was possible, he might like to take you to the ground, but you've also got about a 72% defense takedown rate. So that being said, do you see this as a scenario where dos Anjos' best option is maybe to try to establish his kicking game and avoid your punches?
Yeah, I think that would be something that on the outside looking in that would be something good that he would do. But my coaches have done a great job of preparing me. I'm well prepared for wherever the fight goes. I'm prepared for kicks. Henry Hoof's getting me ready for that. I'm prepared to wrestle. Greg Jones, Kami Barzini has gotten me ready for that, and my body's in shape. My strength and conditioning coach, Brian Harris, has got me ready for that. So, I'm well prepared for wherever the fight goes, and I plan on getting a victory and showcasing my skills.
Speaking of preparation for dos Anjos, this is a guy who, after holding the title at 155, has moved up in weight to welterweight, and he's undefeated in 2 fights since he did that. Was this, a lot of times, especially when a guy like you has been either champion or at the top of the division for so long, you can kind of see these contenders working their way up the ranks. You sort of see them coming from a long way away. But when a guy jumps divisions like this, especially at a high level, all of a sudden you could be confronted with a contender that, maybe this time last year you weren't even recognizing as being in your division. Is he a guy that you had really ever paid much attention to before he moved to welterweight?
No, I actually try not to pay too much attention to any of these fighters out there. Not out of disrespect or anything like that, but guess what I'm doing? I'm trying to focus on myself, trying to be a better dad, trying to be a better husband, trying to be a better human, trying to be a better fighter. So I don't think I can fully do that when I'm watching everyone else, watching their steps. So I'm focused on myself, how I can get better, how I can improve. And obviously there's lots of fighters out there. I can't control what they're doing, how they're beating each other up, but what I can control is my path and how I'm growing and how I'm developing.
Well, what's your take, Robbie, in a general sense on a guy like this that jumps a division? Because, everybody's body types are different. Sometimes it makes more sense for a fighter than it does others. But one thing seems to be universally true, and that's the more you move up in weight, the more you're risking losing whatever power you're taking with you. That can be a problem when you're running into a power puncher like yourself. Do you think maybe that puts dos Anjos at a disadvantage?
I don't know. I think you definitely lose advantages when you move up in weight classes. Obviously, guys are a little taller, guys are a little stronger, but I just feel like but there's also guys who are 145ers that I train with that are like super strong, and you're like, man, this guy's strong. Everyone's different. Everyone's body type is different. Everyone has different abilities, but I feel like I'm well prepared, and my body feels great. So I feel like I'm going to go out there and get a W.
You're a guy who's got 28 of your 28 wins have come via knockout. So you know what it's like to put somebody to sleep. And over that time, obviously, you faced a lot of guys who are or have been known as notoriously hard to finish. Dos Anjos is one of those guys. He's been knocked out twice, and he's been submitted once over 36 fights. Has it been your experience when you're facing one of those guys with a reputation of being tough to finish? I mean, even when you finish them, can you feel that? Do you feel like, okay, that guy's reputation was well-deserved, or do you find when you're fighting them that maybe that's because they just haven't faced you yet?
Going into the fight, you're always like, my mindset is I'm going to go out there, knock the guy out, and when he proves you wrong, you're in the fight, you just keep you're focused on the task at hand. You just focus on slipping punches, landing kicks, not getting kicked, not getting taken down. So you're focused on the task at hand, and then after the fight's over, then you kind of assess the situation, and you're kind of like, damn, this guy's tough.
You know, I mentioned that there is very likely a welterweight title shot on the line for the winner of this fight, and in your case, that would be a rematch against Tyron Woodley. You know, you get that rematch, you're going to be the rested Robbie Lawler that you know, maybe isn't on quite the same breakneck work rate that you were on going into that first fight with him. Does that, I know I'm sure you don't like to look ahead, but I also know you'd probably like to run that one back. Is that the kind of thing that you feel like maybe would give you a better advantage in a rematch as opposed to the first time around?
No, I don't think all that stuff matters. It obviously, rest is good, but also being sharp is good. So it's all about being prepared on that day. I wasn't prepared like I needed to be. He took advantage of it, got the win, and a lot of things changed in my life after that fight. A lot of stuff for the better. I've grown from that fight, so I'm going to be better the next time, and I'm going to be better every day from now until I'm done. It's just one of those things. You just improve. You don't try to look back. You just try to get better and continue to grow.
Last thing for you, Robbie. What was the biggest around the house accomplishment that you took care of during that time off? For me, it's like I got a garage I've been meaning to clean for 2 years, and if I ever get a week off of work, that's what I'm going to do. I'm guessing there might have been one big home project or something like that you might have had the time to get around to, or no?
No, not really. I'm pretty relaxed. I just use that time to relax and spend time with my family.
Nice. That's what I'm going to do instead of clean the garage if I probably ever get that week off. So I'm with you.
Yep, that's a good idea.
Hey, thanks, man. Always exciting to see you in action. And this Saturday night, you're back in the main event against a tough opponent, Rafael dos Anjos. It's going to be a great fight. So everybody can tune in Saturday night, UFC on Fox Live from Winnipeg. Ruthless Robbie Lawler. Always good to chat with you, man. Thanks for the time today.
Thank you.